Hi, I'm Dr. James Roby, Global Head of Environmental Sustainability at Capgemini. Please let me add my welcome to today's event. We all know that most major organisations are acutely aware of their responsibilities towards the environment, and Capgemini is no different. We started putting our own sustainability programme in place over 15 years ago. We were one of the first to set science-based targets in 2016, and since 2020 we've been committed to becoming a fully net zero business. However, as a professional services company, we recognise that our carbon footprint is relatively modest compared to many of our clients. Consequently, alongside our own decarbonisation commitments, we've set a target to help our clients reduce their carbon impacts, and we are now systematically embedding sustainability across our portfolio of client services. As part of our programme this year, we have launched the Future-Proofing Innovation, a series of roundtable conversations across different sectors and countries. Together with you, our clients, partners and other leading thinkers, we are discussing the crucial role that technology and innovation can play in sustainability. Clearly, the automotive industry is often cited in the sustainability discussion, often for negative reasons, with the challenges of pollution being one of the most talked about environmental issues. However, we also know that the automotive sector is driving many groundbreaking solutions towards low-carbon mobility. Today, we've gathered a selection of leading experts, industry players and innovators to discuss this extremely important strategic topic. I hope that you enjoy the conversation.
Many thanks to James Roby for that introduction, and let me welcome you to our discussion here on future-proofing innovation with a core focus on the automotive industry. And to do that, I'm beyond excited that we have this round together, and I want to give you a short introduction who is in the round and who are our experts today. We have Mr. Dr. Jürgen Sturm on my right-hand side over here, who is CIO of ZF Group, who is an active part of the sustainability community and CIO community, and who is pushing the topic of sustainability at ZF. Then we have Matthias Kaldenhof from SAP, who is a partner for innovation and sustainability, driving that topic of sustainability for many, many years, and that in a very holistic way, focusing on all the different aspects that we see there. We have Justin Gemery from Equipa, a startup that is focusing on innovation challenges, and he's the CEO and co-founder of Equipa. And the important topic to know about Equipa and the challenges is that the challenge providers are corporates. The challenge solution artists, so to say, are the digital generation. And this is why we have him in this round, to hear also from that generation. And then we have Ralf Blessmann, who is a EVP at Capgemini, responsible for the automotive business in Germany, is also the executive sponsor for sustainability in the business unit Germany. And then last but of course not least, we have Markus Winkler, also EVP at Capgemini, who is part of the global management team in automotive, and who is driving the topic of sustainability in automotive from a global perspective at Capgemini. I'm very happy that you are all here in this round together, and I would like to start our conversation with a question to both of you, Markus and Ralf, to set the scene to some extent. So to please explain why we are here together. Why are we discussing future-proofing innovation in the context of automotive? And why is this so important? Ralf, Markus.
Thanks, Daniel. You know, the automotive industry is in constant change, and actually this transformation goes more and more rapidly. And therefore, let me just take one example out of, let's say, one of the key topics in this transformation, which is the transformation towards the software-defined vehicle, for example. And this alone makes the industry, shift from a more manufacturing at heart company actually to more an automotive tech company. And this is where we, for example, do need innovation as a driver, because the software industry actually is ticking totally different from what we have seen in the past. But I think this is just, a glimpse where innovation can happen, Ralf, but I think there's much more than just the software innovation, right?
Absolutely. And innovation and sustainability, they're fitted together and they're influencing each other. And innovation, of course, is maybe one of the most important topics right now to generate competitiveness. And we see that innovation is used to improve efficiency, to improve technology, and in my opinion, specifically, the sustainable change and transformation is pushed by technology on one hand. On the other hand, efficiency can only be created if we are innovative. So these two topics, I think, are two of the most relevant right now in the automotive industry.
Thank you, Ralf. Thank you, Markus. And we've heard that innovation alongside sustainability is a very important topic. And I would like to get the opinion from all of you. And why is the topic of sustainability specifically important for all of you personally, on the one hand side, if you may, but also, of course, from your company's perspective? Why are you dealing with the topic of sustainability? Jürgen, I would start off with you. What's ZF's and your point of view on that?
Yeah, good question. So first and foremost, I would like to emphasize that in the long run, there will be no business that is in the long run not sustainable, because it must be completely interwoven into the DNA of any company, because consumer behaviors is changing, customers' perspectives are changing on this. The need, so the global warming, the challenges now everybody has understood. We need to change, and there's no time to lose. And everything is in our societies needs to reflect this. And then including financing, so you will not get financed your business any longer in the long run. So there are many aspects that is holistically a foundation for any kind of business. Now coming to the automotive business, and we as a large automotive supplier and a tech company, we are striving for next generation mobility, and sustainability is deeply rooted in our corporate strategy for all the before mentioned reasons. And the other thing is also we bear responsibility for society, and we want to do the right thing for the next generation. And what we do technically, we can then also discuss maybe later. But the overarching entry, I couldn't agree more to what you have said.
Thank you. And maybe SAP side, Matthias, to empathize on that. We hear and know from, of course, your press announcement, from your CEO, that, of course, sustainability plays a role. But in your own words, why is SAP and why are you personally involved in the topic of sustainability?
Okay, then I have to answer, let's say, from two view angles. First, the SAP itself. We do think that we have social responsibility for the whole world. And we want to express that we are acting on this. That causes different initiatives inside the SAP, which is a zero waste, zero plastic strategy, which is certifying our data centers, as well as being in a program that's called Save a Billion Lives, for instance, to the outside world. But we also know that not being sustainable has a bad impact on acquiring new, modern employees. So it's a question of war of talents we have to answer. That's the inside view. And the outside view is we do believe that sustainability is a business. And our goal is to make this business economical, because this is the best motivation for all the enterprises to do so.
Thanks for that. And you briefly also mentioned new young employees, and there couldn't be a better handover to Justin from Equipa, who is basically somewhat representing this because of Equipa and how I explained what Equipa is doing. So what's your view on that from an Equipa, or maybe your perspective, but also from the perspective of the digital generation that you are dealing with on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I think sustainability was one of the main reasons to found this company, first of all. So we had an intrinsic motivation to address and to tackle the upcoming challenges that we see in our world towards a more sustainable society, but also towards a more sustainable world, all in all. And I think what needs to be done for that is to involve the younger generations, right? I mean, we are talking here, and I'm here to represent kind of this digital generation. And I think this generation brings so much potential, so many new ideas, so many new perspectives to the table that can help to overcome those upcoming challenges. And that's the reason mainly why we founded this company, to make their voices heard and to give also established organizations the chance, the opportunity to get access to this huge innovation potential, to jointly create new solutions and new innovations that help overcome these challenges in the long run.
Thank you, Justin. And I'm very happy to hear all these opinions, because I think the common denominator is that we all truly believe that sustainability is nothing that we should look at, but something we must look at, and we need to deal with that.
Sooner or later, you're out of business.
Absolutely. And having said that, I'm very curious to understand where we're standing. Where's the industry standing? And maybe starting with you, Marcus, as global management team from Capgemini and Automotive. Where do you see the automotive industry with regards to sustainability? What are the major challenges? What are the major initiatives that we're seeing out there?
Okay, so we've done a study around 2018-19 and looked a little bit on the market. And what we have seen was actually that mostly the key answer actually to climate change was going electric. This is, let's say, how it started. Then we have seen, that pilot projects everywhere. We have seen that it's becoming more and more a CEO topic. If we are now looking today at our clients, this actually is back in focus, or has even a stronger focus than before. And we are looking at the supply chain, we're looking at the production and the operations, but now more and more is targeting also the end-to-end perspective of sustainability. And when you ask me what is the key goal, I think definitely the key goal must be to take a look at this end-to-end perspective, because it's just not enough to look at one silo and actually do your homework. That's what you have to do anyway, but you have to take a look at the whole cycle to be able actually also to arbitrate your business. And this brings me to the second point. And I think one of the goals must be that we have to readdress our business, that we have to not only think, but also bring sustainability into our DNA towards the daily operations. And this is also, by the way, you ask about the challenges. This is in the same time, this is, let's say, the complexity. Where do you start? Where do you actually end in terms of end-to-end sustainability? You can, for example, put a part into a vehicle which has a lower sustainability footprint, but then later in the recycling process, you find it consumes a lot of energy actually to recycle this part. You have maybe even a lower recycling quota for this part. This is actually what you need to arbitrate when you really have to look on the end-to-end sustainability, and therefore actually data, software, and technology is needed, is a must.
Yeah, it's really an end-to-end perspective that we need here. And let's hear maybe from a practitioner. We're talking about the industry, so ZF is deeply involved, of course, in this industry as one of the major automotive suppliers. What are you doing? What are your goals regarding sustainability now? How are you tackling them?
Yeah, so as it was mentioned already, so the whole industry is undergoing just a dramatic change with becoming a tech-driven game. And we have a clear compass, which is our next generation mobility strategy. And it starts with building a clean, safe, comfortable, individual mobility for everyone, everywhere. So to have also this kind of building purpose and bringing in technologies that really are giving solutions and answers to many of the challenges we are in this world, and bringing in technologies here. So, of course, in our products and services to drive electrification, decarbonization, driving efficiency, safety, all these aspects, we bring a lot of technologies to our customers. And software-driven, you mentioned it rightfully so, more and more, everything is then interconnected inside the car, new software architectures, and everything is connected, and we see the different influences coming from the smart cities, from energy, from mobility. And this is a new way to think solutions and to build solutions. Now coming to sustainability specifically here, we have a clear compass also to become carbon neutral by latest 2040. This is then, we are an engineering company, so we are also committed to science-based targets. We focus on reducing energy instead of offsetting, and all these things. And we have a clear roadmap what to achieve over time by 2025, by 2030. So, and then we go into this scope 1, 2, 3. So we reduce our scope 1 and 2 emissions by 80% compared to 2019, latest by 2030. Years ago, we only had 10% green power. We are, during this decade, we want to come to 100% green power. And so I think as an engineering and tech company, we are really committed also to measure our results, to have sharp targets. And this is why I liked the intro of James Roby. So no company can achieve this alone. We have to have the large companies, the manufacturing companies, software companies, academia, startups, system integrators. I think that's exciting because science and technology is the answer. And we must really leverage it. And I mentioned already, there's no time to lose. And this is also, by the way, the passion. One of our core values in our ZFA is passion. And if you want to have passionate people, you have to have exciting targets where people see the value and the purpose. And then this creates a lot of energy.
Yeah, thank you. And it's great to see that sustainability is really truly, as it sounds, embedded in the overall strategy. And thinking about that, SAP, Matthias, you are dealing with different customers in the automotive and the manufacturing sector. What is your observation? What are your clients telling you? What are their main challenges and how are they tackling them? Maybe on top of what ZF is doing.
Okay, at first, what are the challenges? I don't want to repeat that it's complex, but I want to say mostly we're talking about digital supply chains. In former years, we are talking about resilient digital supply chains. And now we are talking about digital supply chains diligence. So that means how to interact with different suppliers from different countries under different laws in the context of sustainability. That's one question. The second is where to get the information in a multi-component car, which carbon footprint is in which aspect of the car. And the next question is the complexity of the total life cycle of the industry. So from, let's say, from raw material to recycle management, from facility management to data center. So problems are getting more and they do need speed in answers. So what I see in especially in the automotive industry is the speed is also pressured by regulatory and law, right? And that is totally different to, let's say, 1960, 1980, 2000, where they planned all their car plans, all their lines, and where they say, okay, I have to produce a little bit faster from 7 to 1 year and on and on and on and on. So complexity of supply chains, interaction with suppliers, and the complexity of the whole life cycle of the enterprise. That are the different topics which are forcing many complexity in any kind of sustainability.
Yeah, and finding solutions to that's what we need to do. Yeah. And maybe because I don't want to miss that, Justin, we have now heard the challenges that the industry is seeing, and I think that they're truly right. And how does the digital generation, what kind of challenges do they see when they think about mobility, for example?
I think the challenges that the digital generation sees highly depend on their living conditions and living circumstances, right? I mean, there are those 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations, and depending on the living conditions, of course, different target groups within this digital generation definitely have other focus areas. I mean, if you live in a less developed country, in a less developed area in the world, you maybe don't care that much about equality. You maybe don't care that much about things that we care here in an industry nation, right? You maybe care more about sustainable development goals regarding zero poverty, for example. And then when you live in an industry country, like Germany, for example, you of course care about different challenges and different goals at the same time. But what I think unites all those young people that come together in this term digital generation is that they take sustainability and those goals that get along with that they take this serious. So they don't accept greenwashing, for example. They don't accept when companies, large corporations that have a huge leverage on those sustainable development goals, when they just communicate and tell what they're willing to do, right? Instead, what they expect is that companies or other organizations, also from politics, that they need to act, right? And I think this is what is really important for them. Also, when it's about hiring later in the process, right? So when you, for example, when you finish your degree and you decide where you want to work, young people have a high focus on which company is actually acting, which company is taking action within those challenges that you're facing in your industry, be it mobility, automotive, but also other industries. And I think this is a key factor for those younger people.
If I may add here, I mean, when we look at our study, we see that we have only, a small leadership quadrant. That means actually there's still a lot to do. We are definitely not there. So even if sustainability has gained more focus, actually to implement the measures are, only in those focus areas that we have mentioned. But the end-to-end perspective, I think, is definitely something that we have to take to actually get also in the leader quadrant, and that needs actually innovation.
We have got everything we discussed, so hardware, software, ecosystem, innovation, and core processes. And this is something that we have done in a collaboration with a car manufacturer, where we looked at a system for users, for car users. And we implemented a solution to support the driver and get the driver into a more efficient mode. And this has many impacts. So impact number one is, it's of course a massive improvement with a huge multiplier in the field. It's a customer that feels supported and also feels that there's a contribution towards more green. You could start it and can start it no matter what powertrain you have. So you could even start it now with still a combustion engine. Plus, you can combine it with a rewarding system. If you attract the driver to drive more efficient, you could create some company credits. And these company credits could be used in a merchandising store. So you also generate loyalty. And this is innovation. It's hardware, software, the ecosystem, something outside, and you don't have to wait for electric vehicles. And I think that's all about to find these solutions and just start.
Yeah. Very interesting. Thank you, Ralf, for that insight. And I think we are already right in the middle of what solutions are out there and what can we actually do to overcome those, let's say, challenges that are out there. And I personally would say there are challenges, but there are also many, many opportunities that companies can get hold on. And I believe, Matthias, we briefly discussed that up front. You have a very exciting example also where innovation played a crucial role towards more sustainability.
Yeah. So I think on top of 2 lines, we would set the third one with our solutions. I guess we are very, very educated in having a good cost line and having a very good performance line. That's German engineering, that's automotive engineering. We are brilliant in this. And we have to learn and use the tools for the green line, which is in the middle, right? So put sustainability into any process You are a good example for that, I know. And so just extract one process is product design. How do I design a product sustainability? Is it sufficiency? So it means it's friendly for repairing, for maintenance. Do you exchange raw material in that? Maybe metal in wood instead of metal? Is it recycling friendly? All these questions you have to answer in one step. You design a product. And so we deliver the tools to do better. That's one. The next thing is, and I've got a good example, we deliver also the answers for energy efficiency, energy exchange from CO to carbon neutral energy. So myself, I built up with a customer a marketplace for renewable energies, which you can transaction-based integrate in your production line. So that's very, very interesting. So you can have all your machines, machine by machine, carbon neutral. So there are a lot of things, innovations and tools and solutions SAP is delivering to fulfill these requirements of a green line in between the cost and the performance line.
Okay. Thank you. A great example. I love that aspect of that. And I'm pretty sure that when we talk about examples on how innovation supports the, let's say, sustainability agenda, I'm pretty sure that, Jürgen, you have a very own example from ZF as well, where innovative solutions did play a role.
There was just already mentioned that to build superior products, and by the way, I'm stealing quotes. Yeah, I did hear a nice quote. Premium is sustainable. Premium is sustainable. So and I would go even further. Products that are not reflecting sustainable criteria in a transparent and auditable way will not be accepted in the long run. And now I would like to give a specific example of this. Think about the car that is at the dealer shop and has 0 mileage yet. We want to know exactly how many recycled parts. So this is a circular economy, but not just as a statement, really measured and quantified. Then what is the carbon footprint along the entire value chain, and still 0 mileage? But so you need to think about the whole entire supply chain. And the third thing is what we call Supply Chain Act, or the German word Lieferketten-Sorgfaltspflichten, etc. And I always quote it also in English because it's a nice word. But our duties and obligations to act responsibly. And then you mentioned it, that it's not only the carbon, because sustainability is all aspects of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So acting for climate and environment, acting for people and society, and then also acting for lasting values. And so we want to have also a taxonomy to bring in. If I have choices to have this product or that product, then I will make choices for the more sustainable product. And then the economy steps in again, and together with regulatory requirements, etc. I firmly believe there is no conflict between sustainability and economy. To the contrary, one is fueling the other.
We not only should understrike the car itself, we should also understrike the worker. So we have to talk about environment. We have to talk about health and safety as well, because we do have this social governance and social responsibility. That's also important in any kind of sustainability questions, right? So that we can report not only our carbon footprint, but also our social acting things for ESG reporting, for instance.
Yes, you had 3 letters, yeah?
Yeah.
The only one?
Yeah. And just to conclude with exactly this dialogue, yeah, to have along the entire value chain to have measurable results which are auditable, and we are here in for instance, in this initiative Catena X.
Yeah.
ZF is also a pioneering founder of Catena X, which is exactly, and SAP is also involved in other large
Capgemini
players.
as well.
Capgemini as well, yes. So this is the thing where we are really cost-cutting the entire industry based on data, integrating data along the entire value chain. And I think this is really a large step forward, which is a tangible example and is addressing several aspects also of sustainability goals.
Yeah. I want to pick up that example because it completely fits in what we wanted to discuss today, Catena X and collaborating. And I firmly and truly believe also that achieving sustainability goals is a team sport. You cannot do that on your own. It's the whole industry that's in there. It's the whole society that's in there. Catena X is one fantastic example where we see it's not just the major players that are involved. It's also small and medium enterprises that are involved in there, which is so important. And since we have a startup involved here today as well with the keeper, why should an OEM or a supplier or a small medium enterprise, why should they also collaborate maybe with a startup to achieve their goals? Because they might have their suppliers for years. Why choose a startup now to tackle one or the other challenge?
Well, I mean, I could now give the obvious answer, right? Startups are faster, bring more agility, do not have those large processes and complex structures. But I think there's more behind that. When you think about how startups are being created, there are people that want to change things, right? And that want to create a real world impact. I mean, I founded a startup on my own 5 years ago, so I guess I know what I'm talking about here. But also when we take a look at our ecosystem, lots of startups that we support, that we accompany, that we collaborate with, there are people out there that bring great knowledge. I think that's key, right? Knowledge about modern scientific findings, modern technologies, and how to apply them, and the will to create this change and to create this real-world impact. Nevertheless, I think when you talk about those major challenges that we are facing, that big corporations are facing, that our society is facing, it's not the sole responsibility of startups to help or to overcome them or to solve them with the help of, their technology. I think in the end, it's about co-creation. It's about taking advantage of the best out of those two worlds, and make the most out of it. I mean, of course, startups bring this huge potential, bring great new ideas, new perspectives, new technologies. Nevertheless, I think when you want to overcome those challenges, you need the experience of established organizations. You need the leverage that big companies bring regarding access to customers, regarding also R&D budgets, for example. And then you need to, create an ecosystem, create a framework where both parties can co-create together on eye level. And that's where innovation is being created in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me being also enthusiastic about open innovation and doing that on a day-to-day basis here and seeing what's happening in the automotive industry and the shift between suppliers and OEMs, that they are not suppliers and OEMs anymore. They are partners in innovating for sustainability, for software transformation, all the different things that are happening in the industry. It's very exciting to see that. I want to tackle now one other very important aspect, and it's fantastic that we have Jürgen, that we have in the round here as CIO, and I want to emphasize on the I to some extent, which could of course stand for innovation, which we have talked about, but I think it's also about information, IT. IT does play a role, of course, in this sustainability transformation. From your perspective as an CIO of a large corporation, what role does IT play when we want to transform towards a more sustainable society company?
Well, there are the well-known aspects of, so think about IT itself and be just in the domain IT. We know that alongside with rising digitalization and hyperscalers, everything connected. So the footprint of IT on the world is on the rise. So years ago, we estimated 2% of carbon emission being behind the IT infrastructures of the world. And nowadays, I think it's between 3 and 4. And we discussed about this. It's targeted to become during this decade maybe to 8% or something like that. I'm quoting you. By 2030, Martin, you told. IT is solving a lot of things, but it's also growing, and so we need to bring in efficiency in IT and avoid any kind of, so become also carbon neutral from this perspective. So this is a challenge. So you see the energy consumption rising, and then bringing it carbon neutral. This is for this question. And this is why we need to, as CIOs and IT industry, we need to team up to do everything in order to bring in, again, innovation to optimize it. That's one part. And the other part is, of course, the strong lever that we had. Before Corona, we were traveling very much more. The technologies was already there. So collaboration platforms, Zoom, Teams, all these kind of things. So this, of course, reducing travel. This is a very simple example to have a lever. You have more IT, but you have less consumption in other areas. For us, as a manufacturing company, we have a large footprint, of course, with many plants, so factories, including casting and energy topics that are in our production, where we need to work with our suppliers about green steel and all these topics, and supply chain. So the lever of IT, reducing the carbon footprint of the entire company by less travel, better supply chain, more efficient production, etc. This is a stronger lever even than. But don't forget also, we must be proficient in IT as well. Mm-hmm. Give you a fact also, we are measuring our carbon footprint as enterprise ZF, of course. Mm-hmm. And it's my responsibility as CIO of the company also, if we want to be carbon neutral by 2040 completely, and we have our roadmap towards 2030, it is my obligation to look after my part, because net zero is net zero. I need to. So there's nothing to debate. So I'm looking also into the nitty-gritty details of energy efficiency and what I can do to be green in IT, but also or sustainable in IT, but also look at via innovation to help our partners in the business and together with customer suppliers to team up to bring everything into place as innovation that is driving efficiencies and sustainability goals. With startups, with partners, customers, whoever. Yeah. And this is why I'm so passionate about it. And this is why I'm have reactivated the CIO community that was already active some years ago, and together with Capgemini and others. And so we are bringing small companies, large companies. We want to exchange best practices and focus on implementation, because only implementation counts. Yeah.
And I think, Ralf, he's speaking from your heart. Yes. Green IT for green. Yeah. Might nothing be more to add about that these are the two sides of the medal, right, that we need to take care of.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's so fantastic that, again, a CIO gets to another role. You know? The last, let's say, CIO revolution could have been with Agile. Yeah? Because Agile was a cultural change in collaboration initiated by IT. And I think IT now has the chance to step up and create a massive impact on the corporate sustainability. And there are so many nuggets in a company that IT can unlock. One of, as you said, is production or reducing waste. And this is also another model of collaboration towards a common target where a CIO can play a magnificent role in comparison with the past. I think the the mindset you can see in the companies is in between, please get your own IT done. So do data center consolidation and so on, reduce energy, or you're invited to get the main stack of targets realized. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. But it has been said in the discussion already that especially sustainability is a team play. So there's no single function that can do it alone. And so I think, as always, also the CIO is very important in this topic. But for instance, at ZF, we have Michael Carra, our Chief Sustainability Officer, who is driving the entire thing. But we need all levels of the company, all management functions with their specific roles and responsibilities involved. There's no one alone. But as you mentioned, as an IT function, you can bring a lot to the table to be successful and make others in their sustainability targets also support these functions in achieving objectives. So I just wanted to, because I'm long years in the role of CIO, and I never was engaged in this role of the CIO discussions that much because I had always so much work to do.
Yes.
So I did not think about the role, but I was always, as a CIO, successful in teaming up with my peers from the other functions.
Yes.
Yeah. And teaming up and objectives is also one topic that I want to emphasize on again when we talk about one very crucial aspect. We briefly tackled that already, and I know that all of you have a very clear opinion on that. You just said we don't need to balance between IT and other functions. They all play a role. Do we need to balance between economical goals and ecological goals, or are they on par? Are they on the same road?
Who goes first?
Matthias.
To answer clearly, sustainability first. No doubt. So, just following your dialogue or your discussion, we are all clear that IT, for instance, is necessary for sustainability because you have to make it visible. If you have no chance to report or digital report sustainability, you have no chance to measure. You have no chance to wait. You have no chance to count in real time. When you are looking at sustainability, you have to diminish your efforts in IT because of the premise of sustainability. Another example. All mankind starts as collectors and hunters, and that's what we're doing in data. Do you know how many data are used from all we are collecting today?
A lot, I assume.
No, 5 up to 7%. The rest is garbage. And we are producing data, tons of data. Fantastic things from IoT devices, from sensors, and whatever you like. How many do we use? We have to filter, we have to have quality because of sustainability. Because when we're talking about sustainability, we will say, I don't need this. Please focus on what you need in the context and under the aspect of sustainability. So my answer is very clear, sustainability first.
Yeah. But if we do so, I believe we also have a positive impact then on, let's say, more, older business figures that we're used to deal with, like reduced costs, increased revenue. Ralf, what's your viewpoint on that? The sustainability objectives that we're having, how do they fit to the just clear economical aspects like revenue growth, cost reduction that companies are having? Do they fit together?
I think that they go quite in sync. Yeah. Because if you, for instance, reduce waste, you've got ecological aspects that are more positive and economical aspects which are more positive. If you increase efficiency, you've got the same effect. I think we must fulfill both targets as we are companies. But of course, there are many opportunities where you can combine it and create effects for both. So I'd say they're much more hand in hand than including themselves.
I would even go one step further, if I may.
Yeah.
I think that if you take a look a couple of years in the future, that sustainability or the ecological footprint, for example, of a company is a key for its economical success. So, I mean, and I think there are different, dimensions for that. There is definitely a regulatory dimension. I mean, if you take a look at what politics are planning for the future regarding regulatory frameworks for what companies need to do for their ecological footprint, that's a no-brainer. But on top of that, if you take a look at future customer groups, future target groups that no matter from which industry, all of the companies are addressing, companies that do not act sustainably will not have a chance to survive within their industry, right? Because customers, younger target groups that now, grow up, become older, maybe become the core target group for some industries in 20, 30, or even 5 to 10 years, they will not buy products from companies that do not act sustainably. So I think I would agree to your statement, sustainability first, and then economy or business success is a logical derivation from that.
Yeah, I think Markus.
I mean, just to add to that, I cannot agree more. But at the end of the day, it's an arbitration that needs to be done between, we had this discussion before, between also, performance KPIs, between the cost of a particular part, for example, but also the cost, actually the footprint, the sustainability footprint of a part. And this, at the end of the day, needs to be arbitrated. And there can be indeed, let's say, a situation where you need to arbitrate against margin. And this is where all the DNA, also the purpose comes into the game. You also have to put those ethics then into your business model. So that's, I think, for me, quite obvious, even in the area of supply chain, where we look at specific parts, where we rate suppliers, where we collect the sustainability footprints. At the end of the day, a part comes with a cost. And this actually needs to have a belief of each employee that he's doing the right thing, having also, let's say, sustainability at his mind.
I would say for the automotive industry, it's sometimes the prisoner's dilemma. Because the market says, I want to be mobile. This is basic needs. Mobility is a basic need. Since we are out of our cages, we want to be mobile. So they have to fulfill mobility. On the other hand, everybody's saying, but please do this sustainable, right?
Yeah.
So
may I challenge this discussion a little bit? Yeah. Because when we talk about this arbitrage between different poles, etc., and you can't meet all of them, you will find an optimum. I would challenge this whether there's a flaw in the question. Because you pose the question in a way, take your decisions between the economical targets, sustainability targets, etc. So I understood the impulse of the question. And I had several learnings. And look first at nature. So nature has developed highly efficient ways, plants. Ecological development is building efficiency. And so now building sustainable, efficient solutions is intrinsically superior, also economical. And I tell you one example which was my light bulb moment some years ago. It's many years ago, where I renovated a data center. I doubled the performance. I brought in everything what then in time was state of the art of building efficiency. And then after I did this topic, I realized that I had €250,000 cost savings in my energy bill. And so there I learned, in this case, okay, sustainability has many aspects, but now, since then I have the equation CO2 equates energy equates money. If I reduce CO2, I reduce usually also energy, and this is, and think about my example with this 250,000, this was energy prices 2006 or something. And so I think this was between 2006 and 2008 where I made this, and it was a technology game. So think about doubling performance, reducing that kind of energy cost. And this is why, and why are we so passionate about Formula One? Formula One is also a technology game. Now you could, let's take the Formula E, yeah? Let's take the Formula E, but it's always to think about efficiency to win the match. And I think I don't want to accept that this is a contradiction. I want to fuel the discussion that the more sustainable way is the more efficient way and the more economical way, and then at the end of the day more competitive and more attractive in the market. Yeah. That's what I wanted to at least challenge a little bit to nudge the way of thinking into this direction.
That's exactly the thinking I think we need, because, in this example, the procurement officer might have to decide, on a specific, choose a supplier, which one do you take? And at this moment, and here I totally agree with you, then, CO2 is actually a currency. And here is actually the point of arbitration where it also has to take. But I'm on the medium long run, I'm totally convinced what you're saying.
And I agree that nowadays we very often make false decisions because the system's boundaries are not the right ones.
Exactly.
As long as the system's boundaries and target setting is not, and we had this end-to-end transparency, if this is not in sync, then you take wrong decisions. You're right.
Absolutely agree.
Fantastic. I want to end this discussion, not just out of the blue, but to give you all a chance to give, let's say, one last statement on how your organization, about how you are dealing with that topic. We have heard a lot, but maybe in very crisp and short words, Jürgen, I want to start with you. We know if we look what ZF is doing, that you are changing your products, that you are contributing to reducing emissions and everything. And in very few words, how are you doing that?
Okay, crisp and clear. So from a company perspective, we are striving for a next generation mobility that is clean, safe, comfortable and affordable, period. And we are doing everything in order with our technologies to make this happen. And we are looking from acting, call it acting now, not to wait, really acting now for environment and climate and for lasting values and people in society. And I think we need everyone in our company and we need everyone in our partnerships to focus on this topic together. And this inspires me. And so thank you for this question. So this is then gives me energy and is boosting performance for all of us at all levels, and makes me also proud of working in a company that is really putting this into the center of its strategy.
That's good to hear. And maybe to move on, and Capgemini and SAP, we are collaborating also on the topic. And Matthias, pretty similar question to you. In crisp and short words, what is SAP doing to support their clients like ZF and others in the industry?
I try to say it in 2 sentences. We are doing everything to help our customers to not more consume than they planned. That's one step. And to understand and to react, let's say, to the future, where the only shareholder of all our industry and enterprises is planet Earth. That's very simple.
Thank you, Matthias. Justin, eKeeper is a startup with a particular focus. What are you doing to solve the challenge that we've heard today?
Well, I personally think that technology and innovation, they are no end in itself, but sustainability is. And I think technology and innovation are key drivers for creating a more sustainable world. For creating that, as I mentioned before, I think you need those different perspectives, right? You need those different worlds and advantages that those worlds bring to the table. So my point here, my statement would be that both sides, established big corporations, also political institutions, and on the other side, the digital generation, be it startups or researchers or students, they need to sit at the same table. They need to bring their own advantages to that table, because you can only overcome those challenges when you create solutions where you need those different skills and worlds and backgrounds for.
Thank you, Justin. And last but not least, what is Capgemini globally and locally doing to support their clients in the industry? Markus, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I think James Roby has already outlined, let's say, our goals towards what we want to save for our clients, 10 million tons of CO2, for example, by 2030. But that's only, let's say, one dimension. We have actually also looked at our portfolio, what we are doing. So we are heavily investing in putting the right sustainability offers forward. That's one thing. And I think we are doing a lot of internal bringing this idea of being sustainable into our company. So that's not only a CEO topic now. It's actually, we have a green certification, a consultant level or business analyst level. So we are able actually to upgrade also our employees towards that goal. So it's the what we deliver, but also the how we deliver to our customers.
And Ralf, on a maybe more local and more industry-specific level, what is Capgemini doing there?
So specifically, we have three main areas of Capgemini. The one is consulting, the other one is IT and services, and the third one is engineering. And we are, let's say, doing everything we can as an ecosystem together with our accounts, that we create the solutions, that we create the change which is necessary, and deliver towards the targets of sustainability. And for us, it's part of our DNA. So it's driven by our CEO, but we also have, not for act of God, get the future we want. That's why we all get up in the morning and create a better planet together, professionally, but also personally.
Thank you, Ralf. And let me take the chance to thank all of you for this panel discussion for three reasons. The first one is obvious. We have created many insights, which I like a lot. The second one is I love the enthusiasm, the last statement that we all do these kinds of topics out of our personal passion. And last but not least, looking at my professional life, sustainability and innovation are the key facts that I deal with day to day. And it's fantastic to have this discussion together with you about exactly those kinds of topics. And I'm really looking forward to continue that discussion furthermore in the weeks, months, and years to come, because it's, as we said, it's a team sport. And with that, thank you so much for that discussion. And have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you very much.